Alright everyone, we're going to learn about snapping turtles. This is Snappers. Snappers is an 18-year-old snapping turtle from South Carolina. A friend of mine had him for all 18 years, and we've just recently got him. He is a handful to hold. He doesn't really like being held very much, but I'm going to show you how to properly hold a snapping turtle. Never grab him by the tail. What you do is you grab him from both sides of the shell right here, and then you can properly hold a snapping turtle if you need to help to get it off the road. Snappers decided to pee on me. Ah! All right, so let's see, Snappers. You got to sit here and behave for us while we talk about you, okay? So, snapping turtles are a type of turtle, but we need to classify that a little further. Is it a plant? No, it's not a plant. Snapping turtles are animals. They belong in the kingdom Animalia, and then they also have a spinal column. A lot of people think that turtles can come out of their shell. That is not true. Their shell is a part of them. This is their spine with their ribs that have all been fused together, and that's what makes a snapping turtle a turtle. That's what makes up the shell of a turtle. Sorry, is those bones, and then the plastron here is another set of bones that have evolved to protect the underside of the turtle. So, so they are in the kingdom Animalia, and then the Phylum Chordata. That means that they have a spinal cord, the chordate down its back. They also have vertebrae, which is the subphylum, but we don't learn that too much in school right now. But so Phylum Chordata, subphylum Vertebrata. I'll just teach it to you anyways. And then, all right. So in classification, is King Philip came over for good spaghetti. We've done the king and the Philip, the kingdom, the phylum, the class with snapping turtles is, what do you think the class is? That's right, they're reptiles. So it's class Reptilia. And that's just, so what else are reptiles? Snakes, lizards, tuataras, those sort of things are all, and the turtles of course are also other reptiles. All right, so came over for, so now we're at, order. The order for this, in the reptile world, they are, I just said there's lizards, snakes, tuataras, and turtles, and so they're in the order that is the turtles, and that's Testudines. So order Testudines, and then family. Well, they're kind of a neat thing. Their family is named after their genus, and the family is Chelydridae, and then the genus is Chelydra, and then the species name, their species-specific name is Serpentina. And that means like snake-like is what that means. And so they have a snake-like neck in snapping turtles. Pretty amazing creatures. All right, so we've classified the snapping turtle. Now let's learn a little bit more about them. What role do they play in the ecosystem? They play a huge role in the ecosystem. They are the cleanup crew of our ponds, wetlands, and rivers and streams. If anything's dead, a snapping turtle is going to come find it and eat it. Pretty amazing. But they also hunt. They'll hunt baby ducks. Believe it or not, they'll hunt frogs, snakes, anything that's on the surface of the water. They'll capture. They can actually catch fish too. And there's another species of snapping turtle. I know you guys are thinking about it right now. Not the common snapping turtle. There's another species called the alligator snapping turtle, which has evolved even a lure inside of its mouth to catch fish. And that's a whole another lesson. Maybe we'll do that one another day. So, the Snappers weighs about 18 pounds. He's actually quite large for a snapping turtle from South Carolina, but from around here in Colorado, Nebraska, and South Dakota, snapping turtles get twice as big, sometimes 3 or 4 times as big as snappers here. The biggest one I've ever seen, I even put my hands on top of my head, both hands. I was so impressed by it. It was just gigantic. It was 53 pounds. The world record is over 80 pounds for the common snapping turtle. That's a big turtle. If Snappers here is 18 pounds, and look at him, he's just beautiful. So he's 18 years old. Snapping turtles can live 80, 100 years old, maybe even more. There haven't been enough ecological studies or biological studies on them to really learn how long they live. We do know that there's snapping turtles out there that are over 80 years old, maybe even 100. So they are a very long-lived turtle. So their role in the ecosystem is scavenger, also carnivore, but they will eat plant matter too, so they're omnivores. They'll eat all sorts of stuff. If they can get it in their mouth, they're gonna eat it. It's pretty special. All right, so the geographic range of snapping turtles, they're kind of all over the United States on the eastern half of the country where there's water. So they live all the way from Florida up to New York in the United States, into Canada, and then west, North, South Dakota, Colorado, Montana, all those states, and then they're kind of just east of the Rocky Mountains across anywhere. They occur anywhere there's water. So if you have a pond, you might have a snapping turtle in it. I'm by a creek here today. Snapping turtles live in this creek that I'm in. Lakes, rivers, anywhere there's water, a snapping turtle can live there. They might even temporary ponds. They'll travel to temporary ponds to find food, like amphibians that will only breed in temporary ponds rather than staying in a permanent body of water. They'll move around throughout the year to find more food. And scientists have a lot of theories on how snapping turtles can find new habitat sources, whether it's through vision. They can see reflected light off the water. That's the best supported evidence for snapping turtles, but also that they can maybe even hear frogs calling or something from farther away. Maybe that's what's attracting them to new water. But something does make them leave, and it's probably looking for more food. And then they'll go back. They'll go back. So how does a snapping turtle survive the winter around here? So in places like in the north, because I just said they'll even occur into Canada. How do they survive the winter? Well, I don't know if you guys have seen Frozen 2 with Olaf the snowman. It tells you in that. It's called butt breathing. It's not really, that's kind of a harsh way of saying it, but snapping turtles have the ability to bring water in their cloaca and in their throat, right here in their throat, and to get enough oxygen out of their thing. They can't do that when it's warm. If the water's hot, it can't be done. But if the water's really, really cold and their heartbeat's beating once or twice a minute, their oxygen needs aren't very high, so they can bring in water into their mouth, bring in water into their cloaca, and butt breathe. And it's not really like a gill, but it can bring water, oxygen can diffuse into their blood from the water in their throat and in their cloaca. Oh, now my least favorite thing, but also my favorite thing to talk about, are the conservation concerns with snapping turtles. Snapping turtles, since we've learned they're a very long-lived species, they're at risk of encountering humans, or humans developing their property, or the pond that they live in, or building a street next to the creek where between them and the temporary wetland where they go hunt every summer, and then they have to go back to the creek. And so crossing a road, these guys are painfully slow in crossing roads or trails or anything like that. So if you ever see one, remember I showed you how to properly pick one up if you need to help it across. But also, if you just stand there, it'll cross the road on its own, and then there's no reason to get near that snappy mouth that I'm watching out for, because Snappers has a good one. He can reach back to about here over the top of the shell, and that's their defensive behavior when they feel threatened, is they snap back over the top of their shell, rather than they don't really try and bite you. They're really trying just to scare you with a fast movement with a little snap noise at the end as their mouth shuts. So the long time ago, people used to like to eat snapping turtles for soup, and put them in soup, and people still do eat them. So that's something that we should maybe think about, is maybe we don't need to eat as many turtles. But then there's also the egg predation. So when snapping turtles, he's getting heavy. I'm gonna put him down here on my leg. When snapping turtles lay their eggs, a lot of things like skunks, mink, raccoons are the big one, badgers. All these animals like to eat turtle eggs. Turtle eggs are amazing food for them. And so if you watch a snapping turtle laying its eggs, they can lay from 25 to 80 eggs in a clutch. 80 eggs. That's incredible. It's a lot of little small baby snapping turtles. And snapping turtles, the reason they do lay so many eggs is so that if the eggs can hatch, then there's lots of little babies out there, and chances are one of those might survive to adulthood. So it takes a lot of energy. They put a lot of eggs out, in hopes that one baby will survive to adulthood. It's kind of a it's a type of selection that for putting out lots and lots of babies rather than one big baby like humans do. Humans, we do one at a time, and we invest a lot in its care. Snapping turtles lay a lot of eggs. Don't invest in a lot. They don't invest zero in the after they've laid the egg, and then the eggs are on their own, the babies are on their own, and hopefully one can survive. One of the things around here in places where there were never any bullfrogs before, bullfrogs eat baby snapping turtles. So the baby snapping turtles come out of the hatch. If they make it to hatching, they come out of the egg, walk down to the wetland, and there's a bullfrog waiting to eat it. Oh, and they just gobble it up. I don't know if you guys have seen our bullfrogs eat a mouse, but watch this. Yep, there it is. The bullfrog just can gobble up a mouse that quick, and they do that with baby snapping turtles as well. So, snapping turtles are extremely prehistoric. They've been around for millions and millions of years, and they're just really cool. All right, well, I hope you enjoyed your first lesson, and we'll be talking more.